Hey greekgooner. So I've had a look through your new post and your new file, and yeah, so let's start off with this first question. When I meant about rotating the arm, it does not allow me to. So what's going on here is basically when you have an IK handle underneath that's parented underneath something, it will not rotate it. If I unparent this, now you can do it. Here's the thing, you shouldn't really need to rotate joints driven by an IK handle, because an IK handle will apply the rotation to those joints. And so normally you would separate out your arms into IK and FK, and then you would have a skin skeleton which would blend between those two. But if it's just for now, for getting these rotation values and everything, you can just unparent it and then it will work fine. I see you've added in the blend shape, sweet, and also the extra helper joint there, so that's good. Um, Also, let's just see what else that you had. Yeah. So there's nothing in the procedure on the blend shape. It's just when, because you parented the IK handle underneath that joint. No, underneath that locator. Because if you look at the values of the IK handle, it's these. So if I rotate this now, it actually moves the IK handle and changes the values. So when you're rotating a joint, it will reevaluate where the IK handle is, and I assume that it's freaking out when, or like not being able to calculate it when it's parented underneath something. I haven't really dealt that much with it. I haven't looked into it at all that much, because I usually separate out my skeletons, so I don't really deal with manually rotating an IK chain. Um, Basically. So yeah, if you want to do it, I just remove your IK handles, and then do all the setup, and then you can create them afterwards. Another thing about IK handles is, I'm not sure if you know about pole vectors, but they basically dictate where your elbow, in this case, will aim. So it's these values in here. So you can manually set it, or what's preferred is to have an object. So you can have, if you select this, for instance, the locator, and then the IK handle. So first the the driver, and then the driven, and then you do constraint pole vector. Now you can use this pole vector to manually rotate the elbow around, which is preferable, and it just makes it a lot easier to deal with. Because if you go in and you have to like deal with all these values, you'll have to counter animate a ton, and it'll just be a pain. Another thing that kind of goes into, I think your next question was about these roll joints. Yeah, so they're not working. Um, you I did mention, I'm pretty sure, in my other video, that you really shouldn't have this setup like this, with an extra joint underneath here. Oh, let me completely forgot to remove the namespaces when I re-imported your file. Yeah, that looks a bit better. So this forearm roll joint, I would recommend that you have it underneath the, no, sorry, that the wrist is parented to the elbow and not this forearm joint, especially now since you are having the IK handle on this whole chain. I'm gonna show you why that's a bit wonky. If we say like shoulder, elbow, and like forearm, and then wrist. for instance, if we didn't have a perfect alignment, we could end up with something like this, which you kind of have a bit wonky here. It's not really straight. If we do this and we apply an IK handle to this and I move it, now notice that these don't stay in the same relation. They will rotate around the whole thing. It will change. So that's why it's really recommended to just have your upper arm and your forearm joint or elbow joint. So I'm gonna remove that out, and to do that, sorry, that was that one. I'm just gonna remove the IK handle, if not it's gonna freak out on me. And so I'll take the wrist and parent it underneath the elbow. That leaves us with this forearm joint here, just free floating, and that's really what we want. Because the problem is, this is what I did in my other video. Now you can apply an orient constraint to this, but previously, when you had it underneath there, it was being controlled by the IK handle, and the IK handle was dealing with the rotations of it. So that's why you couldn't really get anything going with that, because it was being driven by the IK handle. If you do this now, it will be free. So if I do this and then down here, now we have this going on just underneath here. And if I just group this under, so you can see I can't really rotate that joint now, but I can rotate this. So now this is free to act how we want, because it's not part of the IK handle driver, or like the driven, sorry. So for every single like helper joint and stuff, you kind of want to separate that out. Normally people would have a base skeleton where you would have the main joints, and then you would have another setup for driving all your helper joints. You could have this underneath there, but you would have to have it perfectly straight in between. And to be honest, I think it's just a lot easier for now, at the stage that you're at as well, just to separate it out. This just makes it really simple and easy to deal with. And if you now apply either of those solutions that I linked to, that should work now. Especially with the aim constraint, works really well with this stuff. So let's jump back and say, with the whole skinning, as you stated, you would skin the body, yes. So this is what I did mention when I talked about blend shapes in the other video. When you start to do blend shapes, you should be done with your skinning, because it's exactly as you say. As soon as you start skinning over that again, or like change your skinning where you've added a blend shape, you will have to fix your blend shape. Most of the time you will have a setup where you could have something called, Chad Vernon has a really cool plugin called the shape inverter, and also in the post that I linked to talking about corrective shapes, there's also another plugin called, I think, Shapes from Brave Rabbit or something, where it basically allows you to put your character into pose, duplicate out the mesh, and then sculpt it exactly as you want it to be, and then you can use that plugin, and that will reverse all the transformations, all the like inputs on it, so that you will just find like this mesh that you need. That just makes it a lot easier to work with. You don't have to like put it into place and then like work with these. It works okay when you just got like a low poly character like this, but for something more high res, then it would just be an absolute pain. And trust me, I did it the old way when I started out, and it's an absolute pain to get it looking really good. Sorry. Yeah, so let me just jump back. Whoops, wrong button. Yeah, so I hope that should make sense. So you want to finish your skinning. You want to get your skinning as good as you want, like make it as good as you want, and then you do your blend shapes as a final step to make it look that extra perfect, perfect spot. So you want to wonder for the blend shapes if you could use the, I'm gonna pause. Okay, yeah, so this question, like I did mention, you would want to create a duplicate out a new mesh. So if I was to do the other elbow, like this elbow here now, oops, it's oriented strangely. Okay, but yeah, if I do that, you would want to duplicate out that again, but make sure that you have the other part at the the old position for it. If not, you will get all that added into your new blend shape. So if you do this, only the parts that you moved should have moved. I guess that makes sense. And also, a really good idea is to name your blend shapes as well, so that this would be like elbow corrective, for instance, and that just makes it a bit easier for when you add it in here. Instead of having like mum character 7, it would say, ooh, left elbow 7, no, sorry, left elbow corrective, and it would just be a bit easier to see which blend shape it was. If perhaps it was going on at the wrong time, you could just debug that here a bit. You could more easily see what's going on. So I would highly recommend that. So just to reiterate, if you want to do the other side, duplicate out a new one, and then you have to redo it. You can't just mirror this over, because what you could do, since you've got no, forget what I was saying. Just do it again, and it's not really quick for it's really quick. Sorry, it's quick to do for this character anyway. So just do it. Just be done with it. And then yeah, keep your meshes, put them in like a nice group so that you can find them again. That would be good. I think that would be it. And yeah, so if you're doing everything by yourself, I wish you luck. You still have a long way to go. You don't really have any control rig for this except for the eye case, and that's very limited as well. So yeah, cool. I think I've gone through everything then. So let me know if there's anything else, or just reply to the post. And yeah, good luck, man.